Happy Friday, artists! Here we are again. Our time is actually growing short. We only have a few more art videos. So I hope you liked the slideshow of your work before the beginning of this program. Please send me some more. We're putting it in a big 3D art gallery online, like a virtual 3D art gallery. We're putting artwork in there. So please submit me. This is the time to make sure that you send me your work. It doesn't have to even be this. It could be one of the other drawings we've done, but this is the day that I'm really asking for you guys to send me a picture of your work. It doesn't have to be, like I said, this one. It could be another one. Today's project is a sunset. These are, I just think sunsets are some of the most fun things to draw / paint. We're doing it in an impressionistic style, which means it's just an impression of it. It's not perfectly blended. It's not perfectly, everything isn't perfectly clear. So all of this kind of gets, just the impression of a sunset. So you can see the sunset. You can see the sun is kind of radiant around here. There are rocks in the, there's land over here. I just put this land in at the very end. It was kind of inspired by some of the pictures we'd seen. And then there are some rocks down here. You can see these nice shadows in here. So, okay, we're going to go in and get started. It's kind of a long, one, but it's also pretty cool and fun to do. You're going to need some materials, but I've got this whole slideshow for you with all of our stuff, right? Basically our objective let me share this with you. I've got a whole slideshow to share. Okay, we are going to do a blended impressionistic sunset. So this is sort of Impressionism. Again, this is Monet, this is Degas. These are the impressionistic artists. They were very fascinated by sort of just squinting your eyes and being able to see stuff. So again, squint your eyes and take a look. And if you can see a sunset here with rocks, that's a perfect, then we've perfectly accomplished it, right? We've really gotten it perfect. So it's sort of just like squinting your eyes and seeing if you can see can you tell that this is a sea sunset? Okay. Again, here's another one. Oh, don't mix black. I always have like the last thing unanimated. Here we go. Blending. We're going to be blending all of our stuff. Allow the colors to mix on their own just while you draw with them. When we're drawing, we're going to be mixing the colors left and right in flat lines. We're going to be putting down a lot of white first to cover the paper. And then we're going to be letting the colors just sort of mix into that area on their own. And that's really, it's nice to let them do that. Don't use your finger because your fingers are going to get dirty. So don't use your fingers to blend or everything's going to get kind of muddy. Let the colors blend themselves. So you use like colors. Our rainbow is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Red, orange, and yellow like to blend together. Any three colors, you can kind of, blend them red, orange, yellow. Or you can do, you can do it along the line. So you can do yellow, orange, red. And in our case, we're doing yellow, orange, red, pink, purple. So we're going back into the back of the rainbow. And we can even go into blue if we want. But we're going to try to get some of these really dark shadows in here. So reds, we go sort of yellow, orange, red, pink, purple. That's a nice way to go, sort of a rainbowy way. White helps to blend. So when you use your white, that's going to help you to blend and to keep things nice and light and airy and foggy and misty. We're going to use some paint just to saturate and to darken the water because that's hard to get dark and it doesn't saturate into the paper quite as much as oil pastels. Oil pastels sit on the top of the paper, but if you use watercolor paint, in some of that blue, it really saturates into the paper. It gives you a deeper blue. And then, like I said, don't mix black. So here's a really beautiful, just an impression. Squint your eyes and it almost looks like a photograph. It looks like down here, it looks like there's almost land there, or maybe it wasn't a totally straight horizon line. Who knows? And when we know that when orange and blue, they're opposite colors, we know that when they mix, they make that really dark color. So we use orange to create shadows. And there's not a lot of lightness in this water here, but that's okay. Notice how it gets darker over here on the sides. And here you can't really even see the sun. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's up here. Maybe it's up in here. Looks like it's kind of behind the haze or the fog or the clouds. Okay, our materials are oil pastels, a number of colors, all the colors you can. Paper, I used a white paper, thick watercolor. I brought out my watercolors, and just to saturate, like I said, the water. We don't need to use them at all in the sky. And then you have your pencil or your black pen. You can use that to draw a horizon line if you'd like, but that's about all you'll need it for. And then tape. I made tape optional this time. I actually think it would probably have made this one look a little better. But then again, who knows? Who knows? So I'm just like that tape kind of person, I think. I like borders. I really like that white border to make it feel like a finished picture. But I like this too. Okay, and here's our finished artwork. We have, of course, our norms for art class. We anticipate mistakes, we respect the creative process, and we try until we're satisfied. So, okay, I'm going to do this project all over again with you, so let's see how it works. Okay, ready to get started? Okay, let's go. Okay, so for this, it's optional if you want to tape it, and I'm not going to. I have this, you can see my crinkly piece of paper. I'm using an old piece of paper that nobody else was going to use. It's kind of grungy, and nobody would have picked it up to use it. Trust me, I know. Everyone always picks the really nicest pieces of paper, and that's great to do sometimes, but on other times, there's something about me that always feels a little sad about those pieces of paper that don't get used, and sometimes it's a lot less intimidating to use a piece of paper that is already ruined. I mean, it's already got marks on it. It's got some water spots here. It's got like a crinkle here. I mean, this side isn't much better. There's some crinkles. It's okay. I'm just going to, we're going to be kind of messy with this, just like we did with the water lilies last week. We're going to be pretty messy with this, it's just fine with me. So we're going to want to make sure we have a nice, we don't want it to be too centered, so a little bit off center. So this is about the center line. We're going to want to have a nice horizon line. And again, if you want to use some kind of a straight edge, I sometimes use like a folder. I have just a folder, and I look and I see, well, that looks crooked. It doesn't match the bottom of the paper. So then I kind of line it up. Does that match the bottom of the paper? I'm not sure. Does that match the bottom of the paper? And I just try and make sure that these lines go together. And sometimes I slide my finger there and I can feel my finger having to get a little smaller on one side. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to use a light blue because it doesn't matter so much. That's not going to be too dark. And I'm just going to draw a line across, and then I'm going to check it. Because if it doesn't look okay, if it's really wonky and really crooked, I'll just, I would just draw it again. So I would match it up to like the highest line and then draw it again. And you can do that. That's not going to be a problem. Okay, so our sky is going to be, we know that our sky is going to have some clouds up here. Now, we talked all about this in the last two projects. So we talked about how water settles, and also how sort of the tops of the clouds are really flat. So this whole project is going to be straight lines across the page from left to right. And that's kind of the easy thing, or right to left, because that's sort of the beautiful thing about projects like this. This is a sunset. So we know that the sun's going to be going down, which means it's not going to be hitting all of the water and it's going to be creating a bigger shadow. So we're going to have some darker waters over here. We're going to have some reflections in here. It depends where we put our sun. Sometimes I like to offset it a little bit. You know, sometimes I like to make it offset. And then we're going to have some irregular clouds up here. And those clouds are going to be sort of a purplish, bluish, whatever, maybe pinkish. And then this down here will be the orange and the yellows. Okay. So again, we have some of these crayons are really dirty. So we don't really mind all that much. We don't mind all that much, except when we're doing the sun. So when we're going to do the sun, we're going to start with white because I don't want the sun to be dirty. That's the one thing we don't want to be dirty. So I'm going to take my my crayon and I'm going to kind of draw on all of the dirty spots just to get the extra colors off, pretty much all the way around it. And I don't want to have to draw a perfect circle, so I'm just going to pick a place. I'm going to pick it a little off center either. I like to do it maybe to the right a little bit. And I'm going to draw this white circle. It's going to be kind of, maybe not a perfect circle. I just want to get some kind of a circle in there. And you can't see my circle, but I will tell you it's more of like this weird, chubby, wide circle. It's not totally narrow. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with sort of my really light yellow, and I'm going to clean that one off too. This is the only part of this that we're really going to hope gets really good. And I'm just going to color that a little yellow. Okay, and on top of that yellow, I'm going to color it more white. So this is just a really white yellow sun. It's very light, but that's what sort of makes it illuminating. And then I'm just going to draw with my white a little bit around it to try to spread some of that sun out. So this is, so I can go back in here and make it a little darker. Make sure that you don't have like all that those other marks. And then I'm going to spread it out again. And this is like, it's like painting almost. And then I'm going to make it, whoop, I almost colored with the dirty side. I could have been a little more careful about that. And then I'm going to color it a little more. And then again, come in with my white and sort of color it out a little bit bigger. Okay, so we don't even really know here to a certain point, this sun gets pretty big. And so I'm just going to kind of go around so that it's hazy. Okay, and that's it. That's all my sun should look like. It doesn't look perfect at all. It's we're unsure exactly where the sun is, but it has a little bit of white around it, which is nice. And that white is going to keep it glowing. It's going to keep it glowing later on. So now from here on out, I'm going to put a little bit of white in here in my sky. I'm sure some of you guys are asking why am I starting with the sky back here, down here? Because this is actually further away than my clouds. So I'm only drawing to about, like not quite even the middle of my page here with the white. I'm just doing it with a little strip to about midway in the sun. And then I'm going to come in, because I know that this is my sunset. This is going to be my yellows and my oranges. So I can come in now around here. Oops, and I didn't get that clean. If I want to try, since I already put down white, I might be able to scratch some of that up. If not, I should definitely try to clean this up a little bit, but it's not going to matter too much. So I'm going to do some yellows straight across. So we're just going left to right. Okay, and I'm leaving some white around my sun. And the reason I leave that white, and again and again, the reason I leave that white is because that is how the sun is radiating outward, right? It's making this really beautiful, glowing thing. So I've got some yellow, and I can come in and color over that yellow with my white, and that helps to blend it in. And so we want to blend We can go yellow to orange to red to pink is kind of what we want to do, because you have to go with those like colors. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Red, orange, yellow go together and they go back into green. But if you go orange, yellow, red, red actually goes back into purple because red and blue make purple. It's a tricky concept, but so I'm going to move into my oranges here on top of these yellows. And then I'm going to go into just a little bit of red right here. And that red is going to go into a pink. And now I can go into my pinks and purples pretty fearlessly at this point. So now that I'm in pink, I'm good to go. I can kind of do some pink. And remember, I have this white circle around here, so I'm kind of staying out of that white circle. So now I'm going to pink, and then up to purple. And then I can even get to some blues. Okay, now these colors are going to be kind of misty, so I can come in with my white, the one that's really still clean, and I can go over all of these and start to just blend them in. And this is a really neat technique. So notice I'm going left and right, left and right, left and right. This is a really great technique because this, remember my paper's already kind of bent, so I'm not worried. This is a fun technique because it puts a lot of color down. I'm going to go straight across. My goal is to just keep going straight across. And now I'm going really up to my circle now. Whoa, I don't even know what I just picked up. Well, we'll go with it. I'm going to go with whatever that was. I went down to just about nothing. So I'm going to have to actually clean off a whole other side of a, I'm not going to clean it up terribly well, but I can move some of this around. And I'm going to keep coloring down here. Okay. Now, I like the way it looks. Oops, up here, I don't think I did a really good job. You can see the difference between once it's been, when it doesn't have white over it and when it does. It gets really smooth. So now I can come back in on some of my colors and start to mix them up a little bit. My yellows can go all the way down. I'm coming a little bit closer, but not too close. The yellows can go up a little further. My oranges can come in, maybe be a little more bold. And they're mixing into the whites that we've got. So I've already got that white mixed in there. I have some of this little, that didn't really do much. I thought that was going to do more. So I'll put some red in. More red, and then the red goes into pink, which is really vibrant. And I can add way more of that. I can actually add my red up higher, I think. I just think that might be prettier and more startling. Okay, and again, come in with the white. And we're going to come in and just smooth it out. And I'm on the side of that crayon because if you go on the, you get a lot of those really hard lines if you don't. go in there. And then now I'm going to kind of be mindful about the little circle now around this. Notice how I got some of that orange up there. It just is on the side of my crayon. I don't really mind so much. It gives me a little bit of excitement. So some of the colors are coming in, mixing. This is okay. This is like our Impressionist painting. I'm getting a little bit in my other colors, my blue down there, but that's okay too. So now you see where these, my white is kind of getting a little bit messy. I'm going to clean this white up a little bit more. And then I'm going to come around. Oh, look what I just did. I colored on the wrong side. Okay, here we have a quick tutorial about how to hopefully get some of this up. I'm going to scratch at it with my finger and see if I can pick some of it up by picking up the stuff. That's all I can pick up. That's about it. So let's see what I can do. Maybe I can draw over it with my white. And if I can draw over it with my white, then I will, then I'll be able to cover it up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come in with a color and maybe move that out of there. So I think this is more of my pink here. So I'll try and come in and cover it up. And you can see that that actually worked well enough. It's not, it's not hurting the color. So now I want to come in a more even way around this area. And so I'm going to go and sort of just try to even this area out a little bit, blend it in and blend it out of my circle around my sun, my white around my sun. Okay, it's not perfect, but now I can finish blending in these areas. Okay, and when I come in with a little bit more color, hopefully I can sort of make it so that it blends even better. And then you'll be able to tell throw in some darker purples up here. This is looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with it. I don't need it to be perfect. And then a couple more over here. I'm just gonna color over this, and I'm just making this close to the edge as I can get. Okay, so for my sky, this is pretty much as good as it's gonna get. We can be happy with that. Now there's not gonna be much more than just color here, straight color. So now we have the colors that are in the sky. To replicate that in the water, we don't need to do all of these. We need to use these colors, but these aren't going to be our primary color. So we're going to start with blue, and the sun is going to reflect sort of in an A shape down here. So in here, and it doesn't matter if this is dirty, this one has all kinds of other colors. We're going to go really close to this nice straight line, and we're just going to color blue in this A-line shape, back and forth, left to right, but kind of away from the sunset. So I'm going to go up slow right at the top because that's where I need my straight line to be. So here I go. So this is my main water. In here, I'm going to have some of this white. And I'm going to have yellow, obviously. And I'm going to try and put my yellow. I don't want my yellow to be too close into the blue because it's going to make a green. And then I'm going to move into orange, right, just like I did before, and then red. And I'm moving it backwards, so we're going the opposite way. So red, then pink, and then purple. And these will just go a little bit across. They'll come across anyway on their own, just by me drawing, but I don't want them quite as strong there. Okay, so the only one I have to be really careful with is the yellow, because the yellow, again, can get really dirty. So I'm going to go back and forth like this. And now we have sort of our reflection. Okay, now that we've got the white through it and we've blended in, we can come in left to right only with our blue. Okay, and that's going to give us this shimmery effect. It has to be left to right. This is such an important part of this. That left to right motion is because the water settles on the flat surface. Okay. So now we have our reflection. So the part about this is that the water is hard to sort of make that feel watery. And this is where the paint comes in. Grab my watercolor from here. And I'll try to get that in the picture so you can see. So now I want to just come in and add some color. One of the things that sometimes I like to do is to pull in some natural white of the paper just by scratching along, whoops, with my nail and sort of picking up some of the color. The other thing you can do is come in with white and blend that color back in. So the only part that I really want that's pretty solid is the center. And this one I want it to be pretty much dark or solid colored with the white and the mix of colors. So when we get over here, you can see that there are holes of white, and I haven't blended all of that in, which is okay. So I'm going to come in now with some water, some blue, and I'm going to get some of that colored in, again, being really careful with that horizon line. I'm going to get some of this colored in with my paint. And this is just with watercolor. It's just my regular watercolor, and I want to fill it in. So as I fill this in, you can see that it's going in between those. You can see how when the oil pastels are too solid, the watercolor does not go into the paper. So these areas where it's really solid, watercolor will not go into the paper. But over here where I didn't blend it, and in here, in these areas, I'm going to get a really nice solid color just by painting. And even if I paint over here, you can see what happens. This paint stays completely out of there. So it doesn't even phase it because we colored it in really nice and thick. And just keep mixing. I'm going to pull this paint down so you can see it. Even if I dripped like dripped some paint on there, it would wipe off. Get a pencil or a Kleenex or something and wipe it off, and it will actually wipe all the way off. I'm going to come in and fill in all of these spaces with my watercolor. The difference is between these colors is that the watercolor soaks into the paper, so it creates this, you can see a look of the paint in that paper, and you can see how it changes the way the oil pastels rest on the paper. So here we go. I'm going to go in on this side. I'm actually painting with my right hand. I'm left-handed, if you hadn't noticed, but I'm painting with my right hand because I want to get in the camera, so we'll see. Always good to try painting with another hand, or to try drawing or writing with another hand. It's a great exercise. So try and spread some of this paint around as much as I can. Get all of those white spots filled in here. And once I have all of that filled in, right over here I have some like blended something. Not quite sure what it is, but I'm going to see if I can get some paint in there. Okay. So now this has, not only is the paint beading up on here, and you can actually, I can just bring over a paper towel, and I can show you that this will actually come right off of there. It'll come right off of this surface. And remember, I told you this one up here will come off. It also will just wipe off the surface. So I can just dab it and get the rest of the paint off. There's still, the paper underneath is still wet. Okay, so now we have this, and this is really kind of the fun piece of this. And now we're going to put a couple of rocks right up here in the front. So I don't know where these are going to go, but I'm just going to put a little, maybe a couple brown. I'm using a brown, and it doesn't matter if this brown is dirty. I'm going to put one in here, and I'm going to put one here. And now remember that the rocks on the bottom, because the water is settling around them, are going to be flat. Okay, maybe this one you won't see anything. Now, the trick for these rocks is that the sunlight is hitting them right in here, in this area. So you come in, scratch a little bit off. You'll see that color, but now I want to leave. I want the back side of these, where the sun isn't hitting, to be black. So now the sun is shining, and the rock is here. And kind of scratch in a little bit so that you can, so it looks like you can, the light's reflecting on there. And I'm going to do the same right here on this side. Scratch a little light, and then I'm just going to put the black now over away from the sun to the right. Okay, now that's perfect. Everything is perfect about this except for one thing. We do want to show that there's a shadow being created in our water. So we have done that by creating, we have dark blue, so we can put some dark blue in here. But the way we create shadows with color is to use the opposite color. So remember, we talked about this. Orange is our opposite color for blue. So we're going to come in and we're going to make a shadow with our orange. And we're going to make we don't have to make a shadow here, but at least on this one, because this one's out there. If you have a couple other rocks that are further out, like if I did another rock that was further out, I would do that. So then I just kind of come in with my blue a little bit and blend that in. Then I can go in and draw a little bit on here. What's fun is after you've painted everything, to sort of come in with some whites and blend over this edge right here. Because now this edge is a little more fixed now that it's had water in it, and so it kind of gives you another color, another layer of color. So we have our reflection, and then we have our sort of a light bluish color. Speaking of light blue, another thing you can always do is come in with some of that light blue in this middle area. That always is a nice effect. And so here, color a little more in there with this. Another trick too is to, you have to do this straight left and right, but is to sort of scratch into the surface of your picture and pull up. You can see I'm pulling it up from the side. So I'm actually pulling up some of this color. And that, whoop, be a little careful, wipe off your finger a little more often than I'm doing. So these are all some techniques that you can use with oil pastels to really make them more versatile. You know, they just get more exciting when you learn different techniques for creating color and texture and all this stuff. And your fingernail is one of your best. Kind of a crooked. See how those crooked lines look funnier? And you could do this for hours, actually, probably, and still get more excited, more and more exciting things in there. But basically, that's pretty much it. It's just a bunch of mixing color. And I always love how this picture works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put these back. I'm going to show you this. Now that I'm looking at it, what I was going to do is I was going to change my paper so that you can see it on a cleaner background. There are people working here, so it's a little bit loud. So I'll show you that one of the nice things to make it look a little bit darker, like at night, is to come in with a little bit of black in that corner, maybe over here too, or to come in with that orange and to, you know, get some of those darker shadows. Since the sun is going down, you can get some of these darker colors in over here, and then come back in with your blue to really blend that dark and blend that in. And notice now how you get this other again, like I said, you don't really want to blend your blacks. You want to sort of keep those away. But here, it's nice to sort of touch on those shadow areas of the water. And the same goes for over here. Whoops, I went up a little bit into the my horizon is not quite. Okay, so here's something interesting. So my horizon, I went up here and it didn't look so good because it kind of went up. It looks almost like there's land there. One of the other tricks I can do is come in with black, like we saw in that other picture, and draw sort of a land mass right in here. And I make it really kind of narrow. And then this land mass ends up blending a lot of that color out. And if I want, I can even scratch some of that to give it a little more lightness. And who knows, I could even do it over here. Maybe whoa, my hair just came up too. So maybe I'll even do that over here because I like the way that looks. Maybe we'll do something sort of like that over here. And just a little bit, because remember how far away that is. It's extremely far away. And that just comes sort of down to my horizon line. It doesn't really come out much further than that. It comes down a little bit. And there you go. That's pretty much our whole sunset picture. Okay, we did it. We did it. You guys did an awesome job. Remember, your goal for this week is to send me your artwork, to send me something you've done. I want feedback from you guys. I want something, and all you have to do is you have to open up your email. You have to look in there. You have to press new message and type in there maggie.herbst@stromanschool.com. And I would love to hear from you. You guys are creating the most outstanding work. I'm so proud of you. I really am. And I want to see you. I want to know. I want to just touch base with you before our term is up. So I really hope to see you and get some of your work. And I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Have fun. Take care. Bye.